No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today I'm having to sit down with a guy who's got one of the craziest stories that we'll probably ever document on this channel. We got Matty Boy in the building. How you feeling, man?
Oh, man, I'm happy to be here, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm happy to have you here, man. You're something of a street legend out here in these streets, huh?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Facts.
Yes, sir.
Damn. You're hyped to be here. I like it. I can feel the energy, bro. He's hyped, man. That's
Hell
sick.
yeah, I feel like it's an honor, man. I mean, this shit's like the ultimate platform, man.
Damn, I appreciate that. No, I mean, I feel like this is probably a shared emotion from me as well, because I'm just I'm very intrigued by your story. We don't get to have a lot of tough white boys on here.
Oh, bro, I was saying that. I was like, this is the first time, homie. You know what I mean? You ain't never gonna have another person like me on here. Maybe some of my people might follow afterwards.
Okay. we did have a very scary 6'8" white guy on here, Garrett, at one point, who I got to give it to him. I think he might have been the first really intimidating white person I ever had on here.
I don't know if I seen that, so maybe I could recant on my statement. No. Maybe I'm the second one.
Shit, okay. But all right, so let's just like start from the beginning, tell the whole story. You're from Northern California. Talk to us about where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from Rodeo, California. It's Rodeo's a tiny ass town, bro, and in Contra Costa County. It's like population 10,000, but bro, a lot of stuff. Maybe my parents were the reason why a lot of stuff came to that town, but I feel like, bro, that town had a lot of action going on from the time we was babies till the time I went to the Slammer in 2004.
Right. And so you really like grew up in it. Like your parents were involved in this bullshit from early on.
Bro, our weekend vacations, because my dad was a convict, right? So my dad went to prison for a murder robbery in 69. So when he came home, his brother, maybe both of his brothers were still in the pen. So he was going back and still visiting the people that he became associated with. So like our weekend vacations, bro, were like going up to Folsom. I remember this shit vividly. Like we'd be in the little motels diving for pennies in the pool. And then the next day we was in the visiting room visiting the big dogs.
Right. And so like as a kid though, did you not have it built into your head that like prison was the worst possible outcome? Were you kind of looking at it as like, oh, this is a rite of passage that a man goes through, because that was everything that was being modeled for you?
Yeah, I know. Before I say this, I always say that it makes me feel weird when I say it, but like I had aspirations to go into prison. Like that was the ultimate goal. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like the people that my mom and my dad had pictures of up on our wall and shit. It wasn't no athletes and shit like that, and it's probably cliche by now, but it was different for us, bro. It was we was around the criminal shit our entire life. There was no, it's like at one point in time I was talking to a counselor in the feds, and like her outlook was like, it's always a choice. You know what I mean? You it's not like you had to go down this path, but it was like when you don't know any other paths, bro. When I caught an attempted murder charge when I was a kid, and when I called home, it was like a congratulatory phone call instead of like, what the f are you doing? You know what I mean? It was like, bro, you held your mud. You know what I mean? You're doing the right thing. You'll be out in a little while. Don't even trip.
Even your parents, that's how they approached it.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I mean, I think every parent thinks about that at some point. That, you know, your son is going to be like 12 and he's going to punch somebody in the face, and you're going to kind of want to tell him like, yo, I'm proud of you. You did the right thing. You stood up for yourself. And then the other part of you is going to want to be like, bro, like you can't be fighting in school.
Yeah.
But it's funny that your parents were like so clearly on one side of that.
Oh yeah. My dad was bringing me orange juice with vodka in the visiting room.
What the
I go up to the juvenile. I go up to the unit, sauce the up, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we was, and I mean, I feel like my parents were just like, for my dad grew up in extreme poverty. You know what I mean? So he went to when he went to state prison, he was like a junkie. So then when he came home, he obviously, I think, wanted to try to do the right thing. But then he got connected with some people and started selling meth, and he started balling out of control, bro. So it kind of reminds me of like the athletes that come from extreme poverty and then they become the most wealthy they could even imagine. and then they just don't know how to act. You know what I mean? It's just like, so I just attribute my parents' behavior to just being like caught up in the game, bro, because my mom and my dad were like great humans, man. I just feel like the rest of us that get caught up in that lifestyle, they were misguided, man. It was like maybe too caught up in the moment to realize what they was doing. And bro, I didn't think, like, I came home from the feds when I was 37, and I was talking to my brother Jason at one point, and he was like, bro, the way we were raised was not right. You know what I mean? There was nothing right about that. And then like maybe a couple years later, I'm at my niece's birthday parties, and they had just turned, maybe one was 16 and 17. Their birthdays were on the same day, but a couple years apart or whatever. But I'm looking at them and I was like, bro, when I was that age, it was like I was strung out on dope, selling dope, in the streets, stabbing people, doing whatever I was doing. So when I'm looking at that, it like dawned on me, like, man, we really had a crazy ass lifestyle. You know what I mean? The way we was brought up was insane.
Yeah, I mean, I interview people all the time who basically are like on the straight and narrow. Their parents have them in school. They got a relatively normal social life and everything. And then they go to school, and at some point they just gravitate towards the kids who are into some bullshit. Like that happens all the time. And I can understand viewing that as a choice, but like, to be someone who kind of grew up in all of this shit that is likely to end you in prison, and to have to like actually figure out how to right your ship is a completely different challenge. You just can't compare the starting point that those two different kids have.
Bro, like, I feel like when I came home from the feds, because both of my parents passed away when I was in the feds. So when I came home, it was different. And I know that there was points while I was in the halfway house that I got discouraged. And I know that if that opportunity was still so readily available, I'd have probably left the halfway house and went right back to the shit I was used to, because it was like, these say, man, go hop on that bus. You got to go take a bus down here. And I don't know how to take no bus. You know what I mean? And it was frustrating to the point where I was like, I mean, I called my sister one time. I was like, man, I'm over this shit. I don't want to be here no more. And I know my wheels were spinning to go into the wrong direction. So
yeah,
but bro, I used to buy drugs from my mom. You know what I mean? There was points in my life, in my younger teens, where I was strung out on meth. So I'd go with my mom when we was copping the dope, and I'd be trying the dope to make sure that the dope was worth purchasing. So it was wild, bro.
Do you think that your parents cared about you and wanted you to have a good life? They just didn't know how to separate themselves from the shit that they were into? Or do you think that they just like didn't even like process like drugs are very bad for you, like I need to keep my kid away from this? Most parents have that built into them, that their kid getting into drugs is like one of the worst possible outcomes.
Well, yeah, bro, I feel like my parents loved us to death. You know what I mean? I remember when I was like 13 years old, my mom put me into this outpatient drug program. And I feel like she thought I was doing good. And she asked me, are you still on drugs? And I was like, nah, man, I'm sober or whatever. So she had the drug place piss test me. And when the piss test came back, bro, I was dirty for everything. Coke, meth, weed. I mean, whatever they could barbiturates. So, and then I looked at her face, bro, and I could see like she was genuinely hurt. You know what I mean? But like I said, bro, when everybody you're around is doing the same shit, if somebody's selling drugs, either doing drugs, like, I feel like, and when you're making that kind of money, it's easy to just get caught up in everything else or something. You know, it's, when I became a parent, it made it harder for me to like see how certain things that they did that they could do, but I just attribute it to being like lost in the sauce, man. You're so caught up in the game that it's just like, I don't know, it's inevitable. I mean, I'm sure that she's seen the aspirations that I had to want to be the ultimate criminal, you know what I mean? So,
right. And she didn't exactly discourage them?
I don't think so. But might have encouraged it.
What was their like social scene? Like, you know, like what kind of shit were they into? Because I remember hearing you talk about how you had certain like gang leaders or whatever, and like posters on your wall. Were your parents wrapped up in like the motorcycle club world, or like what was their types of people that they were hanging out with?
The bikers, I feel like my dad introduced my mom to like the biker crowd, and then my mom ended up being married to the dude that allegedly kicked off that Laughlin riot. So and even like those dudes, they admired me and my brother for being little knuckleheads, you know what I mean? So matter of fact, it was a biker that was on the phone when I called home after my attempted murder charge. Like he got on the phone and was like, yeah, you did the right thing, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, when you're that young, bro, how do you feel like what you're doing is the wrong move when everybody else is like, you're even at that young age, people are looking at you like, man, this dude's a savage, you know what I mean? So,
right. Because when you have like a little kid, you teach them about the police, and you're basically just like, the police will help you if you need help or whatever. Like they're there to help you if your house gets broken into, whatever. And then like I even remember the first time that I ever heard my dad basically say something critical of the police, and it just something clicked in my brain. I'm like, oh, like even your square ass doesn't really with the cops like that, because I'm also listening to all this rap music and they hate the cops and shit, and I'm like kind of figuring it out, like, oh, like you don't have to just like go along with everything the cops are saying or whatever the teachers say or whatever. And it's kind of like you have to learn that mentality, but you just basically had it from day one.
Yeah, because bro, from my earliest memories, it was always taught that these fools are shady, man. And if they can't get you legitimately, they're gonna do some sideways shit to get you. I mean, it's like the cops are no different than all of us criminals. You know what I mean? It's just they get away with it more because nobody thinks that the cops will do something like that. You know what I mean? And I don't believe that shit, man. I feel like the cops are the biggest gang in anywhere. The cops are the most corrupt people there are.
And they got the most power, so they're able to pull off all this shit that average criminal couldn't even dream of.
And they'll protect their own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't cross that little blue line or whatever. You know what I mean? You ain't familiar with that Karen Reed shit?
What was that?
The lady that in Massachusetts, they tried to charge for murdering her cop husband.
Oh, right.
Bro, you gotta, if I were you, I'd check that shit out because that's the biggest display of corruption. I think it's the biggest display of corruption that's ever been exposed.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because these days it's hard for criminals to fight crimes because you got all the internet sleuths, bro. And it's just like these fools focus so much time and they expose some shit. It was just like, these cops, in my opinion, literally set this lady up. But how people are starting to view the cops is how I've always viewed the cops. They're a lot of them are just up. And if hypothetically speaking, if me and you are criminals, because I'm gonna do it in my perspective, and you're a sex offender, I'm gonna get on your helmet, right? I'm not gonna let you in our circle. It's the same thing with these cops, right? If a cop is a crooked cop, and you just turn a blind eye, then you're a crooked cop too, right? You're here to protect and to serve. I don't see you doing that, especially if one of your guys is doing some sideways shit, framing an innocent woman for murder, trying to give a lady a life sentence for something that you know she didn't do. It's like you're a f***ed up person too.
It feels like the cops feel like they're at war with all these gangs, and so when you start to hear about like the sheriffs basically forming their own gangs and stuff, it kind of feels like they're witnessing what these gangs are doing on the street, and they're basically like, okay, we're gonna do our own version of that, and then they just start to like get into worse and worse shit. And it's like the most extreme example of how like one bad apple can kind of spoil the whole bunch when you hear about all that kind of crazy shit happening, where it's like just this up mentality about what being a police officer is that kind of seeps into their world.
And then you hear about like them cops that become like undercover cops, and they kind of lose their identity. You know what I mean? They get caught up in that shit and start thinking that they're actually a criminal. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's like a cop is a human, bro. A criminal is a human. So the nasty shit, the corrupt shit that criminals do ain't no different than what the cops are going to do.
But because think about it, you know what it feels like to be in your ego and to be a criminal and to feel like you're just on cloud nine, you're rolling around, you got a big ass gun in your pants, you got mad money, nobody can with you. That's an intoxicating feeling.
Oh, yeah,
feeling power. Like you could get away with whatever the you want to get away with is a great feeling. Now imagine being a cop and feeling like, oh, no, there's literally no one who's realistically going to do anything about this. I can understand how that shit probably gets to you, especially you're talking about a square ass dude who's never had something to legitimately have an ego about, and all of a sudden now you have this job that makes you play this fantasy role as a criminal.
Hell yeah.
And then you just buy into it. It's pretty hilarious.
And you could like you could I'd imagine them fools could be like the ultimate criminal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine going into something knowing that no matter what you do, you're protected. You know what I mean? So it's like, I could go in here and do whatever the I want, man. I'm the ultimate power out of all these dudes. These dudes are all vulnerable, but not me. I could do whatever I want and get away with it.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I have a bitter taste towards all of the police, FBI, DEA, all them people are crooks, man.
Yeah. I know a guy, you ever have this where like, I know a guy who ended up being an informant, and it's like, he was the most flagrant person with drugs that I ever known, who like, you know, I remember one time he was coming into an interview and he sent me a picture of a big plate of Coke in his car. Like, yo, you want to come do some? And I'm like, no, but like, you just drive around in your car with a big ass plate of Coke?
Yeah.
Like, what the And then I find out later, and then I had a friend who went over his house and he said he had all these drugs on some crazy shit. And then we found out he's an informant. It's like, oh, that's why you're like so comfortable.
Yeah.
Like you just, you know, if the cops did show up at your house, they're realistically, you're getting out.
Yeah. There's no repercussions, bro. I feel like on that, one of those little episodes that just came out, they was talking about one of them dudes, Sergio, I think his name was. Well, one of them dudes was a solid cat and the other one was working with the cops. And it was like, this fool was so bold that whatever, like whoever his contact was, he felt comfortable enough to tell her, oh yeah, I own places all over the Northern California. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. And just felt like he was above the law because he was working with these, bro. It's, yeah, informants and cops are the same thing.
So, yeah, okay. You first caught that attempted murder charge when you were how old?
14, I think.
14. And how long did you actually end up locked up?
Well, the guy that got stabbed went in there and actually told the cops that because the store owner said that it was me. But when they went to the hospital and asked the dude was like, nah, it wasn't a white guy that stabbed me. It was a black dude. So they had to drop the charges. So I didn't get no time for that one.
So anybody associated with you went and had to talk with him or what? I guess intimidating a witness, maybe not something
I think that he was already intimidated to do that shit.
So nobody had to tell him?
Nah. I mean, bro, one time I was in, I don't know if I was in a rehab or if I was in juvenile hall, what the situation was, but I came home and I was over there hanging out with my homeboy and the cops pull up and they're like, Matty Boy, come here. We need to talk to you. And I'm like, about what? You know what I mean? I just came home. I knew I ain't done shit. So they said, nah, it ain't no big deal. We just want to clear you up off of something. I said, all right. So I got in the back of the cop car and they drove me to Safeway. We had a little Safeway downtown in Rodale and they pulled up like face to bumper to another police officer. And some dude in the back of the cop car peeked up and like said, I did it. So they put me in juvenile hall for, man, bro, it was like assault with a deadly weapon, great bodily injuries, so forth and so on. But my dad went down there and told that boy, I'm going to tell you, well, my dad was a legend. First of all, my dad was one of them guys, bro, that just like when you was in his presence, it was easy to feel like that animal lion vibe, bro. Like this he would scare you. So he went to that house and was like, bro, if my son ain't out of juvenile hall within the next couple days, I'm going to come down here and you're going to regret ever pointing him out, ever doing a thing.
Right.
That went in there and was like, yeah, but in that situation, bro, I honestly wasn't even responsible. So, but
so, I mean, if you previously weren't worried about getting in trouble all of a sudden it's got to seem like even less of a real threat because you just watched a serious situation pop up and just go away, like just based off your family's reputation, basically.
Hell yeah. Bro, as juveniles, we got away, bro, because everybody was scared of my father. Everybody in that town was scared of, bro. There was incidents where like the whole neighborhood, like our whole street's tires got popped. Like some kids went out there and was being goofy or whatever, except for our house.
Wow.
So it was like, nah, we ain't with Big Matt, man. So
that is crazy. But so, okay, like when would you say you had officially became like a full blown drug addict, or was that like really young? Like when does that start taking over?
Between my 8th grade and 9th grade summer is when I was introduced to meth. And yeah, I became a horrible drug addict, bro.
Really?
I hated myself because I ended up catching a battery on a police officer and the cop broke his leg. And so I went to prison for 4 years, 4 months for that in our state prison. But leading up to that, it was like I was like I would lie to my family. I would steal from my family. Once I got to prison, man, I hated that person, bro. So I vowed to never go back to being anything like that ever again. So, but yeah, I was horrible, man. Smoking meth, I feel like ruined me, man.
Right. And it was such a young age, like your personality is still really forming at that point, and you're just doing something that's really up everything inside of your brain.
Hell yeah. And then like to piggyback off of my family's reputation, it was like I felt invincible. You know what I mean? I felt like I could carry around these guns and be whoever the I want, man. And it's just like, ain't nobody gonna cross no lines, bro, because the repercussions, if the repercussions weren't from me, it was definitely gonna follow after me. You know what I mean? So.
And you started doing it and selling it basically at the same time. It was kind of like the same thing for you.
Yeah. I was selling weed in like 7th and 8th grade, and then once I got to high school, a friend of mine was like, "Bro, your parents are the biggest drug dealers in the Bay Area. Like, the are we selling weed for? We need to start getting this meth and making some real money," which was a mistake because he wanted to hustle and I wanted to get high and rob people and do all the goofy shit that drug addicts do.
Right. But do your parents ever have a conversation with you where they're like, "Hey, yes, we're selling drugs. It's illegal. Don't talk about it at school. Don't talk about it to your friends."
No, but
did they not have to tell you?
No,
like it was just obvious?
No, they never did. But one time I was I think I was in a rehab. I was 14 years old and it was like my first inpatient rehab. And they like put me and my mom in front. It was like all of the kids that were in my group with our certain counselor and all of our parents. Well, whichever parents came in, I think my dad was still running in the streets at this time. So my mom was there and they wanted us to sit there and tell our parents what we resented them for. And I remember afterwards, my mom told me I was panicking. I swear to God, I thought she was going to say you resented me for selling drugs. And they asked me that shit. I said, I don't resent her for nothing. And they was like, man, there's got to be something, you know. They was like, maybe she bought your brother a bike and not you. I said, yeah, she bought my brother a bike and didn't buy me a bike, and I resent her for that. And later, she even asked me, did I do that? I was like, no, what do you want me to say? I was like, I don't resent you for shit.
Oh, man.
But I was naive to it. Like I said, bro, I mean, because, you know what, as an adult, I do look back, bro, on like, how my mom ran the house, bro, because my mom would bring people in, like whoever came to the house, my mom would feed them, take care of them. Like the people in our circles were welcome at our house, bro. And it was love and there was loyalty and there was honor. It was just like, just because we was living outside the law, it feels like there was more integrity in my household than in most households. You know what I mean? And in our family, we stick together, bro. You know what I mean? It's like thicker than thieves to where I feel like other families ain't like that. You know what I mean? So I admire the way my mom carried the household my entire life.
Right. And so at what point does the Fame brand name come into the picture?
Fuck, man. We was kids, probably 16 years old. And like, it was just one of them things, bro, where me and my brother were arrogant. You know what I mean? To where it was like, I'm not going to go through somebody else's prospect phase or something like that, man. I felt even at a young age that I was bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody gonna ever tell me what to do, and I don't care about the situation. So instead of me trying to get up under somebody else's name or something like that, I was like, man, we're gonna start our own thing. And it was just a few of us, bro. So it was just like our neighborhood friends, and was like, we're gonna call ourselves this, and then it kind of just accidentally blossomed into something bigger.
Right. And so, I mean, even just the name, like having Mafia as part of it, like family affiliated Italian Mafia, was
Irish.
That right? Irish Mafia. Sorry.
Whoa,
What am I doing?
whoa,
Italian.
whoa,
Oh, Jesus
brother,
Christ.
brother.
Yeah. I'm gonna spark a war right there. My bad. Sorry.
No,
I wrote that down too. That's what it says in my phone. I wrote that down. I don't know what I'm thinking. But I mean, that's like a lot to take on. Like a lot of people come up with like a crew or a gang or whatever when they're young, but like, I don't know, just including the word mafia just feels like it, was meant to be something big.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that was intentional, bro. It's like I said, we were full of ourselves, man. It was hard not to piggyback off the power and the admiration that we seen people, the way they looked at my dad, the way they carried my dad. I mean, I seen my dad in situations, bro, that would make most people just like cop pleas. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that in this situation or whatever, to where my dad was like, man, I don't give a if this is my friend, I don't care about the consequences of what my actions will bring. I'm gonna ride with my friend no matter what the situation is, and whatever them repercussions are, I'm ready to deal with them right now. However anybody wants to deal with them.
Right.
So, my dad was around the craziest of gangsters, bro. You got to realize in our state prison in '69, in the early '70s, that shit was a war zone, bro. It was like growing up. My dad, every time I'd bring somebody around, my dad would be like, bro, this kid ain't no good, man. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, man, this is my best friend. No. And he's like, but I'm just telling you, man, this dude's a piece of shit. I used to watch. Yeah, he goes, I used to watch like this. They would walk, we'd be in the hole. The tough guys would come walking through the hole with their little attitude. And 5 minutes later, these would be walking out without their belongings, no tennis shoes on and shit. And these cats just remind me of the people that just ain't built like that. So, my dad was just a different breed, bro, and he was respected by a lot of people, man. That motherfucker was a savage. So it was like that energy me and my brother like held on to, and was like, man, this is how we're gonna be as well. You know what I mean? So
right,
we wanted it to be different than anything else. But
because was that something that you guys were all like talking about as young kids and stuff? Is like what motorcycle crew you were going to be from one day and shit like that? Was that like kind of a consistent conversation?
No, I think it was more like what are me and you going to be when we grow up?
Really? Even from early on, you didn't have that in you?
Bro, our admiration was for our father.
Yeah.
And my father he didn't belong to nothing.
Yeah, what was that? Like he just didn't really see the value in affiliating himself with something?
Like my dad always told us, like when he was approached with the offers to get into anything, he was like, man, I knew when I was in those places that I wanted to eventually have kids one day, man. And I knew that if I made any kind of commitment like that, then my opportunity to have a family and have kids would have never existed. So I know that once he came home and had kids, my dad jumped into the game viciously. But I just think that my father liked being an independent person, man. And I think a lot of people respected that about him. How did
the fame thing go from just some kids with a little crew to actually having the recognition and respect? Because I feel like a lot has to happen in order for, actually, no, I heard you say that in a interview. You were like, well, I don't think we got that reputation for just selling drugs.
Yeah.
And you just look at the camera and I'm like, oh my God, what the it's like an evil Jim Halpert moment right there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, man. It's like, I don't know. I think it's obvious. You know what I mean? It's you. I feel like you just answered the question for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like to get to that status, bro. I feel like we was pushing the line on a high level, and we didn't care, bro. It was like, it didn't matter what the situation was or who the situation was with. If we felt slighted, we were coming for you. So it was just like, and you got to understand, in my opinion, when you're like in your early teens to maybe 25 is when you're at your peak. You know what I mean? You got all these adrenaline and testosterone going through your body, and you feel like you're bulletproof, and you're I don't know. It's just like, bro, we was on missions, man. It was like, me especially, you know what I mean? My brother kind of tapered off, thankfully, and I became infatuated with that power too, bro. It was like when I came home from state prison, it was like I had intentions in doing good. You know what I mean? I wanted to do good, but then I came home, and that admiration, that power, I didn't feel it no more. I'm going into these job sites, and these people are treating me like I'm just a normal person, which I am just a normal person. But at that age, it was like, nah, this ain't for me, man.
Right. So, I mean, it feels like in order to get that reputation, you just have to like basically show that you're not around over and over to the point where people like really kind of get that into their heads. But like how long did it feel like it took from your perspective before, like, you know, people wanted to be affiliated with you? And I mean, I guess there's like different mentalities with it, where you could either keep it a very tight knit circle, or you could kind of aggressively expand and take people on that will be useful to you. I mean, that's kind of a big decision.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times, bro, in all little groups, what happens is people become infatuated with the story, and whether or not somebody actually gave them permission to be something, they just take it on. You know what I mean? It's like, I imagine that a lot of the people that say they are that are just saying it because they wish they was. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we kept a little tight-knit group for the longest time, man. There was only a few of us. And then at some point, man, like, honestly, I feel like once I got to the feds, that shit was morphing into a whole different thing that I could have imagined.
Like it just spun out of control. Because I mean, you have different types of organizations. Some are like top down, where you have like a leader who's basically like calling all the shots. And then some, it just becomes this like massive blob expanded group. Like when you look at a lot of street gangs in Chicago or LA or whatever, it's like there's nobody who could really tell them what to do. They're just out here.
I think that's what ended up happening, man. It's like people just started claiming something because they admired it. You know what I mean? It's like a couple of young kids, man, started something that grew into what it is, man, and they was like infatuated with it. I mean, bro, I've had like writers reach out to me, and they was like, bro, I'm from the Bay Area. I never heard of anything like this. And they become so infatuated with the story that they like lightweight obsess over it. You know, they got the Hispanic gangs, the black gangs, the whatever gangs. They got every type of little factions that you could think of. And then they got some white boys in Rodeo that are starting something that is making a lot of noise in the streets. You know what I mean? So people are like, wow, what the is going on over here? So, and then especially in the Bay Area, bro. I mean,
when you were looking at it, when you look back at it though, were you moving like a calculated criminal, or were you moving like, and I've heard you use this word, a J-cat?
Yeah.
Like, were you just wilding the out, or were you really like trying to do serious business?
I was wilding out, bro. Yeah. I was more worried about my reputation than I was the whole faction's reputation, because I felt like it's like, I don't know if you watched that episode on the Killer Chronicles shit, but that fat dude that ratted, it was like my whole life, I felt like I could carry his weight. You know what I mean? If he was soft, I felt like I was bad enough to carry him through whatever we had to go through. Like if he didn't have heart, I had enough heart to get him through it. So I was more worried about myself at all times than I was trying to make something all like an actual mafia. You know what I mean? I felt like I was the mafia.
Definitely. But okay, I think people are always curious when it comes to like a white gang, because white gangs are very foreign to people, but how much overt racism was really going on? Like, people always kind of, I think, assume that when there's a white gang that they got to like be racist, but a lot of times the most seasoned white dudes who did 20 years in prison, like, it's never really about racism. It's just about being proud of who you are.
Yeah.
And you're in the face of Mexican dudes and black dudes who are very, very proud of who they are. And so it seems totally natural.
Are you racist?
Nah.
Okay, that's like,
Can't get away with that in this job. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and I mean, bro, it's like Bubba, the one that ended up being a rat, him and his brother were half Mexican.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't think it's like, I don't know any black dudes that want to be in a gang called Irish Mafia. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not that we were racist. I feel like in the Bay Area, everybody did business with everybody, bro. It was like people took each other a lot of times on the value of somebody else's word.
Right.
So if you told me this black dude over here was a solid individual, man, and he's got opportunities, you know, maybe y'all should link up. I'm gonna link up with this dude and do whatever I can to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna shut no door on anybody because they're of their race. You know what I mean? So I know that there's always going to be that stigma that white boys in a white faction are racist. But it's like I tell people, bro, when you get to prisons, you walk out on the yard and you're a white boy. The white boys are going to come up to you and be like, bro, where you from? Oh, I'm from Cocoa County. Okay, your homeboys are over here. So you go over there and kick it with them. You know what I mean? Some of your homeboys might have some racist tendencies, but that doesn't mean that you have to adopt them. You know what I mean? I'm sure straight dudes hang around with people that aren't straight and they don't adopt their behaviors as far as I know of. You know what I mean? Is okay, you're into that and I'm into this. So carry on. You know what I mean? It's I feel like that racism shit almost irritates me at this point in time, because it's like, bro, it's 2025. And I know maybe in different places, especially down here, it might be different. But in the Bay Area, bro, it's like, God, bro, it's a lot of that hateful shit. Just, it was like never even heard about, never talked about, nothing. You be out there in middle school or whatever, playing with everybody. You know what I mean? And sometimes in schools, the white boys were the minority. So what else you gonna do?
Yeah, I definitely talked to a lot of people like that over the years. Like, there's a dude, White Trash Rob, is the singer of Blood for Blood in Boston, and I interviewed him, and he was basically like, "It's a miracle I ain't racist, because you know my neighborhood was fighting with black kids every day after school. Like, that was just our vibe. Like, I was just like, we were the minority for sure, and like, you know, every day we had to do that." He's like, it's amazing that I came out of this with the band and shit, like shit that taught me to not feel that way, but could have very easily gone that way. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, damn, that is kind of amazing.
I feel like my dad was that way, bro. My dad grew up in like Hunters Point, Parchester Village, the worst places in Vallejo. And you heard of Mac Mall, right? So Mac Mall rapped about this dude, Smooth. I think his name was Smooth. But the dude was in a wheelchair, bro, right? And I was in the court holding in Vallejo fighting my battery on a police officer charge. And my attorney came in, or the bailiff, the cop came in and was like, "Hey, Donnie, you got an attorney visit." So I went over there. When I came back, the dude was like, "Man, are you related to the Donahues from Vallejo?" I was like, "Yeah, Matt Donahue's my dad." And he was like, "Man, them boys used to be wild." He said they'd come down and tell us they wanted some balloons of heroin, and when they stick them in the car, they'd ride off on us and shit like that. But so like, I don't know, man. Like a friend of mine, Keith Welch, his mom has been following my music for a long time, and she was like, "Man, the Donahues were nothing to be played with," you know what I mean? Especially in Vallejo. And I would have thought, like growing up, that my dad would have tried to influence me more to be selective in who I hung around with, but it wasn't really like that. I mean, he ain't never said, "Man, don't bring that black dude to the house. You know what I mean? So
I mean, if you think about it, like if you're a real committed racist, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage in terms of business in general. If you can't go do business with a huge percentage of other people that you might be able to get drugs. So I guess like nobody's racist enough that they're not going to get drugs from somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like that doesn't exist.
Even in
right?
prison.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, bro, give a how racist you are, dog. If there's a black dude on the yard and he's the only guy with the plug, bro, you're going to buy that dope from that dude, no matter what the situation, no matter how animosity, how much you hate that person. So it's like, how can you preach one thing and do another thing? I don't know.
I even feel like I've seen like prison documentaries where you'll see a dude with a bunch of swastikas all over him, Hitler tattoos, and then you hear him start talking about it and you're like, you never even cracked open a Hitler book. Like you just think this shit looks cool. Because it's like, if you want to take being white to the extreme, okay, there you go. Like that's like the most extreme shit you could do, I guess.
But I feel like a lot of times too, that's like badges of honor, bro. I feel like a lot of them dudes don't look at it like other people look at it. It's just like, man, you went over here and put in your work. You stabbed somebody or you knocked someone down. So this is your badge of honor. You know what I mean? It's I imagine it's just like anybody else earning their gang's insignia. You know what I mean? It's just, bro, it's easy for white people. It's like the easiest way to discredit a white person by saying he's a racist. You know what I mean? Like Matty's music ain't no good. He's a racist. I don't even know how y'all could listen to this, blah, 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 and so forth and so on. And once upon a time, I feel like it would have been that easy to just knock me off my little pedestal in the music industry anyway. But
yeah, people are pretty skeptical about racism accusations at this point. Like everybody's kind of been through the process enough that they know we need some decent evidence to go with this. We can't just go by conjecture or rumors or whatever.
And I mean, bro, I've told people before, I'm like, I'm a rapper. You know what I mean? I remember when I first got to state prison, and I don't feel like I talk ghetto or whatever. I feel like I talk like everybody else from the Bay Area talks. But I had people being like, man, what kind of music you listen to? And I'm like, rap. I went to prison thinking that everybody listened to rap. It was just like, who the doesn't listen to rap? But
because the Bay Area is the most multicultural area in America, I would say, in terms of hip hop and street culture in general.
Period.
Yeah.
Period, bro. I grew up, even in my earliest stages, man, we'd be at parties, bro, where you would have Northerners, black dudes, the white boys. At this time, we probably weren't calling each other Cocoa County boys, but it was just like we was all just partying, bro, doing whatever. It was like everybody was so closely linked. It was like impossible to not be crossing paths with these guys. And then if you cross paths with solid people, bro, it's like how do you like how do you discredit that person because he's not the same color as you or he ain't the same gang as you? Or it's like, man, I admire this dude. This dude is a hog. He's a savage. I know his history. So I respect this individual. And before you know it, you're at the lake with all these dudes and it just becomes like I don't know.
Right. But okay, when you think back to all those years of you being young and up on drugs and stuff before you went and did your longer prison stretch, what was the soundtrack to all that? Like what were you driving around listening to?
Mac Dre, Tupac. Mac Dre, when I was growing up, bro, was the man. But like in my earliest stages, it was probably Eazy-E. Bro, all of them. Like I grew up, Grandmaster Flash. Is that who that was? I always bring up Grandmaster Flash, bro. I mean, bro, my dad raised. When we would get up in the morning, we'd have Smokey Robinson, Teddy Pendergrass, Barry White, all these black artists growing up. So I felt like it was, and then the break dancing thing was real tough when we was kids. So it was like, man, that's all I ever listened to, bro. I remember in state prison, one of my partners was like, man, you ever heard of Tim McGraw? And I was like, nah. And he was like, man, you got to listen to this song. And I listened to the, like, Don't Take the Girl or whatever. And I was like, man, this is actually a pretty good song or whatever. But bro, hip hop was my life, bro. It's always been that my preference of music, even to this day. I felt like I related to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My house is getting raided. The cops are sitting in front of our houses nonstop, harassing us. We're leaving the houses. They're pulling us over, searching our cars, arresting our people. It was just like, so when I'm hearing these rap about my lifestyle, I'm like, man, I relate to this. So
yeah, I mean, because I can enjoy music from a huge variety of genres. I can listen to a country song or a rock song or a folk song or whatever, and it's like I can with it musically, and I can even appreciate the lyrics, whatever. But it's just something different about like the type of music that you feel represents yourself culturally. That, you know, if I'm listening to a metal song about, you know, with some guy who paints his face and he's got long hair and he's, you know, banging his head up and down on stage, it's like I can with it musically, but also like I just would never end up hanging out with this guy. It just feels different. Whereas you're listening to Mac Dre and it's like, this guy's music is amazing, and also he seems like the coolest version of all the dudes that I'm around on a regular basis, and that just occupies a different spot in your mind.
Yeah, I feel like that. I honestly feel like that everything he was rapping about me and my family and the people I ran around with, man. It was, I just enjoyed that music, man. I felt it, and it just I carried that shit with me everywhere.
Definitely. But so when you were in this drug dealing part of your life, are you like going to sort of hip hop events, or are you more just like servicing the locals in terms of like selling drugs and everything?
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to no hip hop events, man. I was just in the streets, bro, just doing the drug dealing thing, man. I don't think like shows and that type of stuff was my forte. Even today, it's not really my cup of tea to go to a concert, no matter what the concert is. But
a huge percentage of like rap fans never go to a rap concert, which is kind of weird. I feel like if you were to look at the percentage of like rock fans who've been to a concert, it's extremely high versus in rap. A lot of people just don't really make that leap.
Have you been to a rock concert?
Yeah.
Bro, those things are insane, man. They get up there and it's just like, it's one thing, and I don't want to like discredit my craft, but it's one thing to get up there, bro, and be able to play your instrument for that song on the fly, bro. It's like, I imagine that the intelligence and the memory it takes to get up there and perform that shit without making a mistake, without thinking about making a mistake. As I'm rapping on stage, bro, if I make a mistake, the song is still playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could forget a lyric or whatever, but them, dog, it's like, I forget what, like, if I watched it on TV or if I actually went to a concert, but I remember I was thinking, man, that shit right there is impressive, man.
Oh yeah.
This fool is up there. There's a whole bunch of different instruments that these dudes are playing, and they're playing it together at the same time. And it's just like everybody in the audience, their hair flying everywhere like shit. And I was just like, man, wow, that's impressive, man.
It is crazy. And it's like, I grew up going to a ton of that sort of shit. And then like, when I look at what rappers are able to get away with in terms of their live performance, it is kind of crazy compared to like 5 dudes playing instruments in unison live and like pulling it all off versus like Gucci Mane getting on stage and being like, yeah, and like walking back and forth and kind of just saying what he doesn't say half the lyrics. It's like, I love it. I respect it. But if rappers and you do see it sometimes, because somebody like, you know, the Currency, I think, raps without a backing track and shit. And like, when you do see a person perform live who really goes for it, it can be a pretty amazing thing. But the average rapper just is, you know, and it is, I mean, rapping without a backing track is pretty crazy.
Yeah, hell yeah, bro. That's a gift. Especially, it's like nowadays, bro, we're making so much music. I mean, me and Vidal, I feel like we're putting out so many different songs, and I'd be up there trying to remember these lyrics, bro, and I'm like, fuck. I'll be walking around with my phone before the video shoots trying to remember the lyrics right before the video shoot, because I done did 6 other songs last week. How am I going to remember this one that I did 5 years ago. But I know I kind of pride myself on my live performances being like, I've had people come up to me and say, "Man, if we're being honest, bro, I feel like your live performance is better than the music that I hear that you put out on the streaming sites." You know what I mean? There's just something. I always say, bro, if I perform in front of somebody, I'm going to make that person a fan, because I'm going to make them feel the emotions and the like reality of the stuff that I'm singing or rapping or whatever, the authenticity. When you see me rap it, you're going to feel the genuineness of it. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, this is about that music. He's serious about what he's rapping.
For sure. I want to get into the whole music part, but let's just talk about this prison bid. So what'd you get caught up for, and how long did you actually end up doing?
On the Fed bit?
Yeah.
I got busted with 150 bricks of cocaine, and I got sentenced to 150 months.
Insane. I mean, okay, so what was the actual situation? Like, at what point in the drug deal did they actually apprehend you?
We was on I-80 driving from Richmond going to Utah. So we got to Chicago, and we got pulled over in Utah. So the situation was crazy though, bro, because the cop told me at one point that I was good to go.
Right.
He handed me a warning. He said, "Hey, I'm going to give you a warning for speed and you're good to go." So if you know anything about the law, you know that traffic stop is over. So anything he does after that is considered an illegal search and seizure, right? So I'm going to give some people some transporters some game right now if you're ever in that situation. And the cop, because the cop is supposed to tell you you're good to go, right? Once the fruits of the stop is over, he has to have probable cause to continue on with the traffic stop. The probable cause could be a dog if he, for some reason, wants to bring out a dog or whatever. But like being nervous isn't something that they could continue on with the traffic stop. But this fool went over. He told me, "Hey, you're good to go. Here's a warning for speeding," and then had me wait on the side of the car. And then allegedly he went over there and asked my passenger if he could search the car. And the whole traffic stop was on, like, the whole time he was talking to me, it was on video, because I was sitting in the front seat of his car while he was talking to me, blah, blah, blah. And then, so on video, he's handing me a warning for speeding and told me I'm good to go. So that's that. At that point, that fool saved my life, bro, because I had priors for selling dope. And if he wouldn't have gave me that warning for speeding and told me I was good to go, then I would have probably done the rest of my life in prison. But so what happens after they tell you you're good to go, there's a thing called consensual stop. So if he'd have told me, hey, Mr. Donnie, can I ask you another question? And I turn around and say, yeah, what's up? Then
now it's just a conversation.
No, now I just gave him consent to continue on with the traffic stop.
Okay.
But he didn't do that. So my attorney sent them a motion to suppress hearing, like the rough draft to the motion to suppress. And it was just cut and dry, bro. It wouldn't be like if you was the cop, you couldn't go in there and say, I never told him that he was good to go. You know what I mean? So my attorneys, one of my attorneys, Tony Serra, wanted to fight it. But Randy Darr came up the next week and was like, man, Matty, listen, if this was weed, we'd beat this case. He goes, but I fear that the judge is not going to want to throw out this amount of drugs over a traffic law discrepancy.
Right.
So what he's going to do is he's just going to say, nah, you guys are going to take care of this in the appellate process. And my attorney, Randy, was like, and how long is that going to take? You know what I mean? 10, 15 years, you're going to be going back in there. They're trying to give you 12 and a half years. You'll probably make it home faster in this 12 and a half years than you will if you go through the appellate process. So Randy, because I've known Randy my whole life from cases that he fought for Blair Guthrie, I know both of the attorneys, but Randy Darr or Tony Serra was more optimistic. You know what I mean? Tony was looking at this like, this is the biggest case my office has ever had, man. It's going to be such a big deal for all of us. Like everybody in my office is talking about it. He's sending me case law that's like similar to my shit, to where it's like people are beating their charges for similar shit, but none of them was as cut and dry as mine, because not many of them were on audio being told they're good to go. and then this dude continuing on with the traffic stop.
So you got this huge choice to make between potentially getting
Doing
rid
life.
of all these charges and doing almost no time,
Yeah.
or taking it to trial and potentially getting life.
Oh, if I would have took it to trial, I would have got life. There would have been no potential. And the prosecutor he let that be known. He says, if you guys go to the motion to suppress hearing, I'm going to file his priors. I'm going to give him a life sentence. So you need to tell him that he's not going to get a better opportunity than this. So they were scared, bro. They was like, and so was I, though. You know what I mean? At first they told me I was going to get 10 years, but the 10-year deal had some sideways shit in, and I refused to take it. And even my attorneys was like, man, Matty, you might be making a mistake. I said, bro, I'm not going to go do no time where I got some faulty shit in my paperwork, even if it is just me and my co-defendant. If there's just two of us on this case and and we're both signing the same plea, I don't feel comfortable doing it. So I'm not going to do it. So if we have to fight it, go to the motion to suppress hearing, that's what I'm going to do. But part of the plea agreement was they took my appeals options off the table. So you know what I mean? Once I signed that plea, I couldn't go in and try to fight it, saying that the fruits of the search were illegal and all that type of shit. So the cop saved my life, bro. If that fool wouldn't have pulled me out of the cop car, bro, I'd probably not be talking to you right now.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. But so you held it. So basically your homie allowed them to do the search
Allegedly.
Yeah, because so do you not believe it? Because they could be lying?
Because, bro, the only part, every single part of the audio was as clear as I'm talking to you right now.
Right.
And then that one little part where the cop was like, hey, do you mind if I search? And it was just like, oh, you're wrong. So then afterwards, I told my Cody, I said, bro, what the did you tell him he could search the car for? And he said, I didn't tell him he could search the car. I told him I'd rather you not, but I'm sure you're going to do whatever you want to do anyway. So it was just, bro, that it was weird to me that the only part of the audio that wasn't clear was the part where he allegedly gave the cop permission to search the car.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. But so, how does your like where is your mind at this time when you're taking the deal and everything? Like, are you still thinking that you're gonna just be in the streets for the rest of your life, or are you starting to have second thoughts at this point? Are you starting to feel like, damn, like maybe I f***ed my whole life up, I need to clean my life up?
Bro, I went right into the institution and started doing the same shit that got me there in the first place.
Right.
It was so bad, like, I'm ashamed to say this, but at one point I called my brother, and I'm on a cell phone in there, and I had made a transaction with another individual, and you know, I'm a man of my word, bro. So if I go and I buy something from you, I'm gonna give you your money no matter what the situation, no matter what the situation is, no matter what I have going on the streets. I feel obligated to take care of you. So I call my brother, and I'm on the burner, and I'm like, hey, bro, I need you to send some money to this dude. And my brother was like, man, bro, we just found out that mom's dying, and they gave her like 6 months to live. We knew she had cancer, but the cancer was, you got benign and...
Benign is like not dangerous, so, like I said, Rabishit or whatever.
And then the other one, malignant or something?
Yeah, that's the dangerous shit, yeah.
It was malignant. So I'm like, bro, man, how am I going to ask this fool to still go out of his way to go send somebody some money after he just told me my mom was dying? And that's what I did, though. I was like, bro, I need you to take care of this. And then I heard like the hurt in my brother's voice, man. That was like, bro, when the are you going to learn your lesson? You know what I mean? You just got bopped in the head with the 150-month sentence. And he goes, and you're back in there doing the same exact shit you was doing that got you here in the first place. I just told you our mom's dying, and you're asking me to go somewhere and send money to somebody. And I was like, bro, I've already done this transaction. I'm hurting like you're hurting, but there's nothing I could do about this. I want to make sure this dude gets paid, and then I could go about doing my own thing.
Well, because you're in a place where there's not really a lot of room for you to cry and be emotional and to even enter into that space, that part of your personality that's realistically hard for a lot of men to access even on the streets. But when you're in prison and everybody's looking for a sign of weakness.
And bro, it's like what people don't realize is when you're around so much violence and nasty shit, you almost, it's like you put your feelings somewhere that they can't be found no more. You know what I mean? Eventually, when I found out, because both my parents died 9 days apart, and it was like, the feeling that I had was more of a feeling was like, man, why ain't I like breaking down, crying like I feel like everybody else in this situation will be doing? You know, people on the streets, or like maybe movies. You see somebody go through a loss, they're crying, they're leaning on somebody and doing all that type of shit. But for me, it was just like, man, like I didn't know how to feel at all.
Yeah.
And it was weird for me, bro. But I feel like prison does that. You get immune to people being shady and all kinds of different shit, and people dying, people getting stabbed and all that type of shit. So you're just numb.
Yeah. That's serious shit. But I mean, have you listened to the new Clips album?
Little parts of it.
The first song is about basically like them losing their parents and being so caught up in their lifestyle respectively that they like basically, there's like part where he's basically saying that in retrospect, Pusha T realizes his mom was trying to tell him that she was like checking off her to-do list of things to do before she died, and that he was so caught up in like the rapper lifestyle that he just like didn't process it.
Dude.
It's some heavy shit.
Yeah, so like my mom was on the run from the feds, right? My mom got indicted on that big Aryan Brotherhood trial that happened, I think, in 2004. And when they came to raid my house, my mom wasn't home. So my mom was on the run. So I ended up getting a DUI while on parole, and they gave me 270 days for that. My first violation ever. Shout out to the parole board in the California system for looking out for me. You know, they wanted to give me an opportunity after I'd been out for 21 months doing the right thing. I mean, they thought I was doing the right thing.
But they gave you 270 days? That's like pretty harsh, right?
That bitch gave me 9 months flat, bro. Yeah. Have you ever heard of anybody on there? I wasn't even found guilty for the DUI.
Right.
I hadn't even went to court for this. So hypothetically speaking, I could have probably beat the charge.
Right.
But yeah, that the parole board magistrate told my parole officer went in there and said, man, I want this guy continued on parole. Like he ain't done nothing. And she was like, oh, but drive drunk. And he was like, yeah, but that's the only thing he's done wrong. So, but they gave me 9 months. But I say that to say this, like my mom was on the run, bro. And I know that if she got caught, the amount of time that she was looking at was going to be crazy. But I was so more worried about me and chasing around women, tying up loose ends before I had to turn myself in, that my time with her wasn't as important as me going and doing this other shit. And then it turns out that weekend at that motel when I seen my mom was the last time I seen my mom free alive. You know what I mean? So it was like, yeah, all that shit torments me, bro. I carry a lot of luggage like that with me because I know that the shit that I was doing in the streets. And like I said, my dad was a tough man, bro. But when I told that fool that I was going to take that 12 and a half years, because my dad wanted me to fight it. You know what I mean? He was like, bro, this shit isn't right. It's an illegal search. And I'm like, bro, what you don't understand is this dude is going to give me a life sentence. And in the feds, a life sentence is your release date is death. It's like you don't go in front of a parole board. It's your release date says deceased. So, and I'm like, man, I'm
your dad wanted you to roll the dice.
My dad wanted me to roll the dice because he felt in his mind, he was like, bro, I'm not going to make it to see you home. You know what I mean? I don't think that I'll live that long. So in essence, he felt like me signing that plea was basically saying that the last time I seen him free was the last time that I seen him when I was on the streets. You know what I mean? Like when I came home this time around, he wasn't gonna be around. So, but yeah, I got to go and listen to that song because I relate to that, man. But it goes back to the beginning. What I was saying, it's like I felt like my parents were no different than I was at that point in my life. You know what I mean? The streets and chasing the women and chasing the money and feeling that power was more important to me than. And plus, I mean, at that point in my life, I probably didn't think that that was ever going to be the last time I see my parents on the streets. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Maybe I was naive enough to think that this was just another little obstacle that we all go through. But yeah, I resent that shit, man. I resent the game. It's like the older I get, the more I hate the game, bro, because in all out reality, there ain't no loyalty in the streets.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's turning on each other. There's no repercussions for being a piece of shit no more. Sammy the Bull is like, people watch this dude's podcast, bro. Like, I refuse to watch this dude's podcast because he's a stool pigeon. And I don't give a about the repercussions of that. Yeah. Or how many people he killed. He's a rat, and nobody should watch that dude's show.
Yeah, it's crazy how that shit is the same way in your world or in that world as, like, you know, in the rap world too, where it just feels like the standards have been loosened up a lot as time goes by. That's crazy.
That shit is, there's no morals, bro. But yeah, so these days when people talk about the streets, bro, it's almost laughable, man. Be like, okay, you go out there and hang with your gang, bro. Go out there and do a crime with 4 or 5 of your friends and watch who's doing time.
Because okay, so what was your mentality going into doing this, and how many years you end up actually doing?
10.
And so you go into it just still full blown crash out mode, like not matured at all going into it. But how much did that change by the end of it? Like, and what was that time like over those 10 years?
Oh, bro, that time was the institution that I was in. I ran that institution, bro. We controlled that institution. That shit was like, I had OG dudes coming to that institution and they would be like, Matty, man, I ain't never seen people move the way you guys move on this yard. And this fool was coming from like USP Atlanta and shit like that, bro. It's just, y'all are out of control on this yard, bro. So it was like all of my behaviors I brought with me, bro. I want to say, like, so I came home. I went in 2004 and I came home in 2014. So I would say like my last 2 years, I went and did that little RDAP program to get a year knocked off my sentence. And those were probably it was the only time in my whole sentence that I behaved, bro. And it was like a part of me, I didn't think I was coming home was part of it, because like everybody that I was running around with in the streets had caught RICO or like murder cases, big charges, or were going in, like my best friend, bro, the fat dude, I refuse to say his name. I knew this since preschool, bro. Like that. It was like, how do you, and this rolled over for a 7-year bid, and he probably already had 5 of that done in the county jail. So it was like, your rat face punk ass decided to become a lying rat. He wasn't even a truthful rat for over a 7-year sentence.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like,
was telling dangled in front of you before you went in to do your time?
Yeah. It's a funny story about that. So I think he was a DEA agent, but he called my co-defendant in there first, and read us our rights or whatever. And my co-defendant, I learned this from the cop. He says, because I go in there after my co-defendant, and he was like, so you want to talk about anything? And I was like, what's there to talk about? I'm being arrested for being out of bounds on parole. And he goes, oh no, you're being arrested for a substantial amount of narcotics. And I said, well, if I'm being arrested for a substantial amount of narcotics, I probably want to talk to an attorney, right? And he was like, and asked his partner, how much time is he facing? I said, man, I don't care about all that, man. Get me out of here. And then the other dude goes, well, you was at least more polite than your other friend because your other friend told us to ourselves, which I thought was gangster as because if you ever seen my co-defendant, bro, he just does not fit that like you wouldn't expect him to be as gangster as he is, bro. So when he said, I mean, all of us, even the cops laughed about it. Like I was like, well, that's some gangster shit right there, bro. Makes me wish I'd have said that.
Right. So when you get in there though, you just get straight into selling drugs and shit, or like,
yeah, bro. It was like not like nothing stopped, bro. I was picking up right where I left off, but it's like, bro, if you're a basketball player your whole life, when you go to prison, are you going to stop playing basketball?
Right.
That's all I know. You know what I mean?
So was it already like fully established in that prison, like in terms of other people already doing this, and then you
but
just
not
kind of
on the scale that we was.
Really?
No, bro, we was hog dog in that place, bro. I'm telling you, we was legendary in that, bro. When I got, so I put in for a transfer to go to the drug program because I almost even passed on the drug program because I loved that institution was so good to me. But so they put me in for a transfer on like a Thursday. Sunday, when my counselor came in, he was like, man, you're already designated. So I was like, man, wow, that was fast. So I was in the kitchen because I worked in the kitchen and I was talking to the food service administrator. And he was like, bro, I'm actually honest. It took them that long. They've been wanting to get rid of you for so long. They feel that you are responsible for everything that's happened in this institution since you've been in this institution. And he's all, and I'm not just talking about the white boys. They think that you've been a part of every bad thing that happened in this. So I was like, touche. You don't say.
But so what are you doing with the money that you're earning in there? You just like sending it back home, or I mean, I'm sure it was complicated.
No, we was just, bro, we was on the streets, bro. It was like, plus they had the little email shit jumping off, bro. I was probably spending $600-700 a month just on email shit.
Really?
And then
because you got to pay for how many emails you sent.
You have to pay for it. I don't know if it's still
racket.
Hell yeah,
That's crazy,
bro. But back in my state prison days, you was paying like $15 a phone call. Now I think it's free.
Yeah.
So it's like you talk about a racket. That's why they're so set on keeping the system full, bro.
Right.
You ain't never thought about why this clown, what's our governor, Gavin Newsom? It's like at one point in time they told everybody that you could steal whatever you want as long as it was under $1,200.
Yeah.
And then they slithered that little new law in there that it's like now they're putting people back in prison if they steal over a certain amount. It's like no different than this 3-strike law.
Yeah.
If people don't realize that the jail system is a racket in itself, they're probably slow, bro. So they love keeping the institutions full because somebody is making a lot of money on that shit.
But are you kind of torn? Are you like a tough on crime guy, or are you like because I feel like you are so familiar with the effects of what lenient sentencing and you know, policies that kind of encourage crime. Like, I mean, you can't be from Northern California and spend time in the Bay Area without being, you know, alerted to how crazy this can make a city like San Francisco.
Yeah, I think the only crimes that I'm like serious about, bro, is sex crimes, crimes against children and shit like that. Those people should die. People that like do drug crimes, the solution, in my opinion, isn't no 50-year sentence, bro. It doesn't make sense. I was in jail with people that died in prison for marijuana cases, bro. So it's like, how you justify that? You can't. And have you ever wondered why the majority of the sex offenders are on the streets, and all the drug dealers and shit are in prison? Does that ever like trip you out?
Never thought about that, but okay.
Look up the Megan's Law, bro. There's sex offenders everywhere. There's probably 100 of them, and you're in this little radius right here.
Right.
That shit is sickening, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder why like that is
because the same that are committing those crimes are the same people that are sentencing those people that are doing those crimes. The sex offenders are making those laws. The judges are probably sex offenders. The whole system's probably full of sex offenders.
But okay, I know a guy who.
Hold on, let me say this before I forget. How come cops don't accidentally kill sex offenders when they go to arrest them?
Probably because almost none of them are armed.
Man, who gives a f-? Some of these people they're shooting that are criminals ain't armed. My cousin had his hands up like this, got his fingers shot off by a cop.
Really?
Shot that 7 times or something with his hands in the air. He didn't have no gun.
Whoa.
Well, if you could get away with the crime, wouldn't you want to get away with a crime for shooting somebody that did something to a child? Man, come on. Those people should intentionally go into situations like that saying, I'm going to shoot this first, even if he doesn't move. But nah, they want to kill people that are selling drugs or some shit.
You tell me if this is fair. I used to know a guy who basically was set up by the cops. He started messaging somebody on some forum or whatever, and basically is like trying to pimp this girl that he met. And then at some point she tells him that she's 16 or something like that, but it's the cops all along, and he ends up going to meet up with her. They bust him, and I think he did 5 years in prison for that. Would you say that you think that's a fair sentence?
Are you saying that the dude knew that she was 16?
Yeah, I believe she told him at some point during this conversation.
Then yeah, that's not a good thing, bro.
Yeah, it's not good.
No,
but I mean, 5 years seems like, that's a significant
5 years ain't
chunk.
enough, because I'm going to tell you what, that shit's a sickness, bro.
Yeah.
Anybody that could with little kids, bro. I mean, can you imagine doing anything mean to a child?
Having a kid, especially, like, I can't even. I yell at my kid a little bit. She starts screaming and crying.
My kid cries at me, bro, and my heart breaks. I can't imagine, like, what kind of brain or what kind of like mind you have to where you could do shit like that and have no conscience about it, bro. That shit's a sickness, man. And 5 years, I hope he went to a serious institution and got raped.
The jury's out. Yeah, I don't know. But
yeah. But yeah, bro, I just think that there's the system it's wired backwards, bro. And I honestly believe that they protect sex offenders. Even in the institutions now, they be trying to give us hate crimes if we assault a child molester.
For real?
They act like they will. Man, bro, we had a situation where, shout out to this, I don't remember her name, but she only worked there for a short amount of time. But this CO came to the federal institution I was at and exposed every single sex offender that was hiding on the yard. So we got this list of all these sex offenders, and we went and started knocking these down. And they was telling us, oh, if you guys do this, we're going to get a hate crime. You guys are going to get hate crimes and blah, blah, blah.
Describe knocking them down.
Trying to kill them.
Right. But not necessarily doing it, but just at least giving them a taste of it.
No, like, you're going in there to try to hurt this to where he could never touch a child again, bro.
Oh, shit.
So I had a lieutenant one time. They locked the yard down because these people kept getting assaulted. And I'm walking across the yard, and the lieutenant walks up to me and goes, I just came from the penitentiary, and we got an understanding to where we give the people the opportunity to leave on their own before we assault them. And I told him, are you kidding me, bro? He goes, nah. And I said, well, listen, dog, if I would have been in there, whatever happened to that dude would have been a lot worse. I don't believe that anybody should be able to walk off the yard after having done something to a child. So I feel like what you're saying is nonsense to me. So then the dude says, well, I'm going to have to put you in the hole because we don't know who did this crime. So unless these guys, I said, say less, bro. Put me in the hole. I wish this would have died. I don't give a about him or how you feel about suggesting somebody should be able to walk off a yard that's touched a child. It's weird, bro. But like I said, these probably got child porn on their computers in their institutions.
Right. That's crazy. But so you do the 10 years, and then what are you thinking that you're going to be doing when you get out?
Well, I actually thought I was going to come home and do right. You know what I mean? I had all the intentions in the world. Like, I wanted to come home. I wanted to have kids. I didn't know what I was going to be doing for work or anything like that. And like, this was the first time in my life when I came home, bro, I wasn't re-entering a drug zone. You know what I mean? It's like my mom and my dad had passed away. My siblings were all working great jobs and shit like that. And it was just like, this would have been the only time in my life, if I wanted to come back to the game, that it would have been like a challenge. You know what I mean? I would have had to go try to meet new people and do shit like that. So, but I came home and was like, I started working. I had a couple kids, and then me and my first kid's mom didn't work out. I ended up staying with my brother for a little while, and my brother was like, "Man, bro, you should try to pursue this music shit, because I've always loved the music shit, bro." So, and then I just was like, man, I started making music, bro, and it was just like, that shit made me feel like I was selling drugs again without the consequences of having to go back to jail or whatever, or deal with the deceit and betrayal and the people stabbing you in the back and all that type of shit. So, and I actually love making music. I love rap. I love listening to that shit. So, having spent the majority of my life not knowing that I had the gift to even write a rap, and now that I do it, it's like borderline became an obsession with me, man. It's just, but like I said, the thing I love most about my music, bro, is I could relive all the shit. I could feel that adrenaline rush. I could bring myself right there to the transactions and all the violence and everything, and I don't have to worry about doing time. And for the record, I talked to an attorney before I started making music, because I didn't want them to be able to use my lyrics against me for anything in the future, because I know that's how they get down. But
what was their advice?
Huh?
What was their advice?
I got a song called Hustler's Dream, right? So in Hustler's Dream, I put live footage of the Fat Boy in there when he was snitching.
Right.
So I was like, man, is there going to be any repercussions for this? And he was like, bro, the only thing that he could do is like maybe file a defamation of character lawsuit. And he says, but you're not defamating his character,
right?
Because he is a rat.
Yeah.
So, and I said, okay, but what about the rest of the stuff? And he goes, bro, it's so hard. He told me don't ever put no guns in my videos, because he's like, bro, they're going to be watching you for the rest of your life. Nobody gets busted with that amount of drugs and doesn't have an eye on them for the rest of their lives. So, but he just was like, don't put guns on there in your videos or anything. But as far as anything else goes, it's like, it's hard to prove if what you're talking about is the truth, as long as I ain't in there trying to do like a lot of these people do by giving themselves up on actual crimes that they committed.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, there's like a lot of like really big rappers who say really incriminating, violent shit in their music. And these are people who have lawyers, who have like,
or on podcasts.
And even
I feel like they're podcast interests.
And like part of it is like, oh, that is like when they get caught up for something, it's like, wow, what an idiot. Like, can you believe that Lil Durk like hinted at having this person killed on a podcast or whatever? But like, so many people kind of do it and like just figure that it's just not going to end up being a problem for them. I mean, getting sued, like when you're talking about like defamation claim and shit like that, I mean, like that's realistically, I mean, if you're a rich person, you're going to get sued about whatever, but ultimately it's a defamation claim is like a very tall order, and most people are not worth suing for that kind of thing. They got to have a shitload of money.
Yeah. I feel like this is something that you have to take into consideration too. Like in the Durk situation, when you're so close with a lot of them people, you don't necessarily have to know about the crime or like be a part of the crime or whatever, but you hear about the crime, so you feel like you could rap about it. You know what I mean? I don't know that man well enough to say one way or another, but I would like to think that he's more intelligent than to rap about something that he was actually a part of. And I feel like a lot of times, because he has such a heavy influence on a lot of people, that they want to, if the feds knock him down on that shit for a life sentence, it kind of sets the bar and maybe scares these other kids, letting these other kids know that even though he's got all this money, we could still take him down. Even if the crime is bogus and he's rapping about crimes that he wasn't involved with, we're still going to make him responsible for talking about it. You know what I mean? Or in hopes of maybe him telling on the people that actually did it. So
I mean, okay, like if a high profile person gets killed in Chicago, there's going to be 10 different rappers who rap about it, make jokes about it, kind of sort of claim it. Yeah. And so I feel like the mentality for the dude who actually paid to get him knocked off is like that they could rap about it because everybody else is rapping about it.
Exactly.
How is law enforcement going to know that I'm the one who actually put the money out there to get this done? And I feel like that's the mentality of a lot of these guys, is that it's like, well, everybody else is rapping about it. So,
and it's what people want to hear about.
And my boy's never going to tell on me.
Yeah.
My boy that I paid to do this, he's like him, he's never going to tell. You know, a lot of people like really believe that. And like, you know, but then people get locked up and you slowly start to see the weakening of their character.
Yeah. Like shout out Young Thug, man. I feel like that fool.
Yeah.
That fool was he's a hog, bro. I admire that fool's courage for taking that shit to trial, staying strong when it seems like everybody was falling down around him in the worst possible way.
Mm-hmm.
And he held it together, man. That shit was admirable, man.
No, definitely. So when you start rapping, is it just like immediately you've got a lot of interest because you've got such an interesting backstory that people in the streets know about?
Yeah, I think it's like, I think like I feel like I'm at the place in my music career that I'm at currently because I've only been rapping for 7 years or something, that my street credibility and then like people that I was in prison with, it's like they validate what I'm saying. You know what I mean? They look up to me. A lot of people are like, man, nobody expected me to come home and not fall back into the criminal lifestyle and start up, bro. So I feel like even a lot of people reach out and they're like, man, you inspire me. You give me like hope that I could, if I want to, I could change my life too. Like you're showing a lot of people, man, that even the worst of criminals could come home and do something better with their lives. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think because a lot of people know me, a lot of people respect me, that definitely helped me in my music career.
So you've been home for 10 years?
11
years.
2014.
Would it be a safe assumption to say that you haven't kept a totally clean slate this whole time? Have you like gone back to your old ways at all, or?
Oh no, I'm a saint. I ain't one of them whores, bro. No, you know what I wanted to ask you? I keep wanting to ask you this.
Yeah.
And I hope it ain't putting you on the spot. But the dude, Little Brazy, the Utah J-Cat, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like bad about putting that clip out there, knowing that this kid is really just a fake rapper that like put himself in a huge, like I feel personally, if some lame came up to me and was talking some shit about that, especially me knowing how serious these other groups can be, I'd have been like, bro, you should shut your mouth. You know what I mean? You're a 16-year-old kid. You ain't never been from that lifestyle, and all you're going to do is get yourself hurt.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, having had so many people sort of pay attention to that situation, I guess I do think about it differently now, because it's like, if you're someone who wants to come on this podcast and diss your ops or whatever, and then you get killed as a result, it's like, whatever. I mean, you were probably saying that in your music. You were probably saying that on Instagram. It's like, you know, just because you emphasized it on a podcast is kind of whatever. But with him being so young and saying shit that like we so obviously know that if you're dissing both the Southsiders and the Norteños in the same podcast, that
dude,
this is just not going to turn out good for you.
Your reply was genius, bro. It was like, you just had to throw that out there.
Yeah. That was like the first
that
thing.
important to say to you?
So tell me about Ogden, Utah. Well, we beef with the Norteños. That was the first thing he said. That was one of the funniest things I ever saw.
Bro, I was like, no way this dude just said this, bro. I was like, you know what? I was like, I wish I could have told this, bro, you should have went in there and said your ops was like sex offenders. You know, you and your crew went around trying to find rapists and shit and jump on them. You pick some of the most treacherous people on the planet to try to act like you're tough. I was blown away. I was like, God, what the is this dude talking about?
But you know, that kid is like what happens when you have the prominent music in your culture, just straight murderous death music, and he's like a little ass white kid who's just obsessed with this shit, but he's not satisfied with just listening to it. He's got to like really try to live it. But it's weird to even think that he didn't think that through in his head, like, oh, if I diss these people, that they're gonna do. But he's got caught up so many times. Like people ran down on him so many times.
Yeah. After this,
and before and after.
Yeah, it's like, bro,
he's got a greatest hits reel.
Well, I'm telling you what people don't realize is Utah don't play, bro.
Right.
When I got busted out there, when I went into their system, bro, I was blown away at the level of treachery that them dudes display, man. It's like them guys ain't. It's not Utah. You know what I mean? Like we think Utah and maybe think Mormons or whatever the hell you think, a square state, or it's nothing but a bunch of white people out here. But that's not the case, bro. Utah don't play, bro. They got some serious individuals out there, man.
Yeah, no, facts. But okay, so drugs wise though, have you mostly kept your nose clean since you came home?
Yeah.
Has that been a challenge, or are you in recovery, or?
Oh no, I still use drugs.
Oh, okay, but not meth.
Yeah, no, I ain't touched meth since 1997. Like I'll take a Xanax here and there, bro. I think that anybody that follows me knows that I have a special spot in my heart for cocaine. But I feel like, bro, I'm so motivated. Like my hustle, in my opinion, is second to none. So once I get something set in my mind, it's like that is what's most important to me. And right now, it's like I'm building my music career. So I don't like to drink because I don't want to be hungover. If I drink, I probably party. And then instead of me losing, a couple days or of not feeling bad or of not feeling good, when it comes to my music shit, I feel like that shit has a much longer lasting effect on like how I think, the clarity of how I think and shit. So I mean, the majority of the time, bro, I stay sober because I don't want to take any time away from my music. You know what I mean? I got 5 kids at home too. So like partying hard like that is just not as easy as it once was.
But you don't have the kind of relationship with coke that you used to have with meth, where you like do some and you just keep doing it? No.
Like I'm one of them weird, bro, that I'll feel like a dope fiend if I snort coke and I'm sober. You know what I mean? So I gotta be buzzing. I gotta be feeling it. I want to keep the party going. So I want to toot some powder and just keep the party going. But
you talk about it like it's your firstborn. Like it's like such a loving aura just emanates from your body as soon as we brought up coke.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
It really is. It's been a long time for me. Maybe I should get back into it.
Nah, don't do it, bro. Yeah. Don't do it. Don't let my I speak about it like I do the criminal lifestyle. You know what I mean? It was lovely. We was all out partying, breaking down ounces on the table, snorting as much as we wanted.
I was saying the other day, if I went to Colombia, I'll do it.
Yeah, can you imagine that, bro?
Yeah.
Let's go to Colombia. We need to make a trip.
I'm down. Honestly.
Start the podcast though, just like
they got to have like a cocaine tour.
Yeah, don't they got cocaine bars out there and some shit?
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Yeah, but bro, like, I don't want to mislead nobody. Like I was saying a second ago, man, I pride myself on staying sober because it's like, this is my ultimate goal is to be a successful rapper, man. I want to be able to make my music full time and just do what I love doing every day, man. It's like, to anybody listening, bro, the streets are not what they used to be, man. It's like there's no loyalty. People are cutthroating everybody. It's played out, man. Go to work.
For sure, yeah. So, like, where do you feel like you're at with the music thing? How satisfied are you with how much progress you've made? And, like, what are you planning in terms of what you need to do to take it to the next level?
Well, I'm hoping that my homeboy Adam 22 takes it to the next level for me. You know?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's the interview. There you go. I hope so.
But yeah, I mean, bro, I'm happy with every step forward that I take. You know what I mean? I've surrounded myself with a lot of talented people, like my partner Vidal Garcia right here, bro. This dude is like a producing genius, and I attribute a lot of my success to that man because bro, the dude's been making music since he was 11, and it's just like sometimes we'll be in the studio making music and I want to nunchuck this because he makes me do the same line 43 times until I get it right. Then he criticizes my whiteness, but yeah, bro, I'm happy where I'm at. I feel like I got a crazy buzz going right now. I mean, bro, I don't feel like I have the amount of followers that your normal cats that come on your platform have. You know what I mean? I feel like I honestly feel like it was the street shit that got me to this level to be sitting here talking to you. But I feel like I'm a dope rapper, man. If people listen to my lyrics, there's a lot of game in that shit. So I'm getting close, and every day I'm getting closer, man.
No, definitely. That's dope. Because I looked it up the other day of who's the biggest white rapper from California, and currently G-Eazy is holding us down.
Who?
G-Eazy, you don't remember him?
No, I don't know who that is.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he had some hits, so I'll give it to him.
I know who G.
But I mean, I am not terribly familiar with his catalog.
That's not my kind of rap, though, neither. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna hold that title here real soon, bro.
I watched a clip of Bootleg Kev interviewing him, and Bootleg Kev like knew all his albums and shit. I'm like, wow, I really missed out on all this.
Yeah, but too, like a lot of these people when they were like blowing up in the game, bro, I was in prison.
Yeah.
So like when in 2004, Mac Dre, where I was from, was the man, bro. That fool was the hyphy movement, whatever he had going on. Mac Dre was a legend, and even to this day, man, I attribute like my passion for music. I attribute a lot of that to Mac Dre because not only was he a dope rapper, but that fool went and did time for his friends because he wouldn't snitch on them. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you're familiar with that whole trip, but they tried to get him to tell on his friends so he could go home and continue on with his rap career, and he chose not to do that shit. And if you can't admire that shit, bro, then I don't know what kind of people you look up to. You know what I mean? It's
no facts. But okay, what do you actually listen to? What motivates you in recent memory?
Like these days, I listen to AWAX. I think AWAX is a phenomenal lyricist. Griselda, like Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine. I love them dudes, bro. ESTG, I think is dope. 42 Doug, I think is dope.
Some good choices.
I'm probably missing some. I haven't listened to Young Thug's music, but like I said earlier, I respect that man because I feel like he stood on business, bro, when everybody else around him was kind of falling apart. So
yeah, I mean, he really hasn't put anything out since he got released. We're waiting on the album right now. He got a couple songs, a couple of verses, but yeah.
Yeah, so but I definitely listen a lot to Benny the Butcher, bro. I feel like that dude lyrically is. I love how that fool raps. I love the stories that he tells, bro. Yeah. He's like a phenomenal storyteller in his music, man.
Nah, Benny's fire. That's a fact. But okay, so you got any plans? Anything we need to know about? What do you want to tell the people? What's your message?
So wait, let me. I got some shit coming up too. I want to talk about. Ooh, I got a feature with the homie Burner. Shout out to Burner, man. I feel like that's a big deal, and I got an EP coming out called Killer Chronicles with AWAX. So I'm hoping that
that's like a shout out to the YouTube channel that made a video about you.
Yeah.
I like that.
You're next, homeboy. We're gonna come down here and shoot a video with you. Like, this is my guy right here.
That is a good channel. They don't update that much though.
Bro, I feel like it's like what I respected about his channel is like if a story is already crazy, it doesn't need to be embellished. You know what I mean? Like you could take the facts or like what you read and just put that out there without trying to make it so much more. You know what I mean? And it's just like I respected the out of that shit for him not feeling like he had to exaggerate the truth, because the truth seems like it's crazy enough to me.
Nah, facts. All right, so yeah, you gotta wait. Weren't you about to say you had an announcement?
That was the announcement.
Oh, that was the announcement.
the big EP with me and was like the burner thing.
We started with the burner,
the EP,
right? That was the announcement. My
Killer
bad.
Chronicles. I think I want that shit to chart. Hoping that your influence could help me out in that regard.
Let's go. We got to convert everybody out there into Matty Boy Spotify monthly listeners.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Facts. All right. So what's your message to the people? Any last words?
Man, bro, stay out the streets, bro. The shit ain't it ain't what it's cut out to be. And if you get in the streets, bro, I hope you know that your whole life is going to be full of betrayal and deceit and people telling on you, or you're going to end up being a rat and nobody's going to like you no more because you sit down when you pee instead of standing up and letting your nuts drag. So, nah, but I'm being sincere, man. Find a passion, chase your dreams, brother. The dope game is really stupid, man. It's no kind of life.
That's facts. Matty, appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you, my brother.
Everybody go tune in, turn him up on Instagram and all streaming platforms.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you telling us your story, man.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity to share it with you, my brother. It's a big deal for me.
I appreciate it, man. All right. No Jumper, coolest podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe. We out.